Good morning, South Rock. Welcome to another Mark Devo. Today is Mark 14, 10 through 21. And it is the Last Supper, which is a significant event. In this, we learn that Judas Iscariot, one of the 12 disciples, is selling out Jesus to be delivered over to death, which is the fulfillment of prophecy. And then he says this at supper, and they all get very downtrodden because they realize somebody that they've been traveling with. All the disciples get sad because they realize somebody they've been traveling with for years will betray them, will betray Jesus, this person that they've been following forever or for years, this teacher, this savior. And so Jesus doesn't really declare who it is, but he says it's definitely one of you. It's somebody who's been dipping their bread with me around this table. And so we are at this Passover meal. And what strikes me is Jesus knows that Judas has betrayed him and is going to betray him. Jesus is fully aware that this has and will happen and who is doing it. And yet he was still invited to dinner. He was still sitting at the table with them. He was still enjoying the meal. Now, we could think the audacity of Judas, but we could also think how gracious of our Savior that even the man that has sold him for 30 pieces of silver to be killed this horrific death is still invited to supper. Which leads me to the question, how can you show grace to someone like that today? Or maybe over the weekend even. Who's somebody in your life that maybe annoys you, maybe drives you kind of crazy, maybe even you would call them an enemy, call them somebody that you just don't like them, or maybe they don't like you and they've been rude to you, they've been mean to you. It might even be somebody that you run into. You might get a cashier or a bank teller or something that's just kind of rude. How can you show this much grace to that person? Because I think this is a good example of what Jesus is expecting. Like, he says, woe to this person, but he is still at the table. He is still has his place. He is still shown this grace that even he is allowed to dip the bread in Jesus' presence. So how can you be gracious even to your enemies, even to those that might rub you the wrong way today, over the weekend, and going forward? So that's all I have. I hope you have a good Friday and a good weekend.